Hey all, Dr. Larry here with Let's Talk Shit every Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Thanks for joining me today. So today, you are not your shit. And boy, did it take me a long time to figure this one out. So I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 9 years old. And back then, the doctor said, there's nothing you can do for this. There's no treatment. You're just going to be sick your whole life, basically. And it's an autoimmune disease. And so for the next 50 years or so, 40 years, I kind of lived this sick child kind of identity, right? And it wasn't until I met my wife, Macy, who's an amazing couple, single women coach, love and dating coach. Met her about 10 years ago. And I was really nervous about telling her about this Crohn's disease, about my Crohn's disease. And I was kind of nervous about it. There's a lot of shit involved with it. And so I told her all about it, and she said, wow, it sounds like you identify with your illness. And amazingly, in all these years, I'd never really heard that before. You identify with your illness. And it really was true. I resisted it for a while, but once I started reading about that and what that means to identify with an illness or a health condition, I realized that was me. And the main thing with that is that when you're having an illness or a chronic pain or a disease state, when you're experiencing something like that, you have a tendency to feel broken, right? I did, absolutely. I felt broken. And when you feel broken, you feel less than, right? You compare yourself to others, you feel less than, and this broken, less than mindset leads you to feel shame. I had plenty of that around Crohn's disease. Resentment, feeling like this is not fair. And resentment is a form of anger, and we certainly can feel anger around that. This general sort of victim sort of mindset, right? And I had all of this. I was totally embarrassed about having Crohn's disease. I kept it under wraps. I didn't tell anyone about it. It was something that I hid from anyone that I could, that I, was involved with. And so in researching what this means to identify with your illness, to not be your shit, realizing that, really if I'm feeling broken, who am I broken compared to? I'm broken to this person that doesn't have digestive issues but has mental illness or depression, or this person with chronic back pain that's suffering with sciatica, or someone with cancer or diabetes. I mean, we all have stuff either now or in the future, and they're not defining who we are. They're just experiences. I used to say things like, my Crohn's, I'm flared up. I used to actually say, I'm really flared up today. And now I say, oh, I'm experiencing some increased Crohn's symptoms today, right? It's an experience, just like experiencing the weather and experiencing a headache or experiencing sadness or loneliness. I'm experiencing some symptoms. So it's not me, it doesn't define me. And that might sound subtle, changing the way you talk about this, but it is really huge. And I used to think, well, Macy had another great question for me after I started studying this, identifying with illness, and it was just a big aha for me. She asked me, what are the blessings of Crohn's disease? And again, that just sort of knocked me over the head because I spent my whole life thinking about what is the curse. The Crohn's disease is a curse, right? It gives me all these symptoms and it affects my life in this way, and I can't do this, or the fear, or all that stuff. Always just thought of it as a curse. And so when I was asked what are the blessings, that took a while for me to sit down, first of all, and start writing. I was really resistant to it because I was so entrenched in this concept of Crohn's disease bad. Crohn's disease is a curse. Crohn's disease is just makes me broken and less than, and the shame, all that stuff. So I finally started writing. And what I came up with kind of rocked my world, realizing that having Crohn's disease at a young age, I became very interested in medicine, particularly holistic medicine. And it really is what got me into chiropractic and acupuncture and studying and learning about nutrition and diet and supplements at a young age, eventually getting me into becoming a chiropractor and acupuncturist. And then discovering how meditation can affect Crohn's, I became a meditation teacher and then a yoga teacher. And so when I think back, and then ultimately becoming a coach, a digestive wellness coach. So helping others and realizing that, yes, this is a blessing. And all of these amazing paths that I've taken in life, my career, my spiritual practice, my physical health, all were motivated and inspired by having this experience of this illness. And so rather than looking at this as being broken, it really can be a gift. Having digestive, having health challenges can be a gift, right? Because these symptoms are not something that's wrong with you. It's your body trying to communicate what it needs, right? These symptoms are, um, Dr. Weissman, he says these symptoms are a um, portal to the next highest version of yourself. I love that quote. And so rather than seeing your illness or your health challenges as a curse, we can see them as an opportunity, because really this stuff is what life is, right? This is what makes us wiser. It makes us more compassionate. It gives us empathy. It gives us love and respect for our bodies when we listen to them and we ask our bodies, what do you need? How can I love you more? How can I give you more love and more healing and more compassion? And so this can be not a curse, but a blessing if we don't identify with our health challenges, but look to them for learning and wisdom and guidance, and seeing just how grateful we can be about the whole experience of life and all these challenges it gives us. And, another thing I'll mention is support groups, particularly on Facebook, where I joined a couple of Crohn's support groups, and not really even as to help as a someone who experiences Crohn's, but more as a coach to see, well, what's out there? What are people needing? What are they asking for? What are they having challenges with? So I can update and gear my coaching toward that. And man, what an eye opener this was. These particular support groups were um, basically just bitching sessions where everyone just unloads all of their suffering, all of their annoyance and their anger and their frustration. So it's not helpful. I could see where you might think, oh, I can get some advice about just Google it. Support groups like that, in my experience, are not helpful at all. I was a guest speaker at a Crohn's support group. And before I spoke, we went around the room. There were about 12 of us in this support group. And we went around the room, and each person um, told their story of how they're a Crohn's sufferer. And it was just a bitch session from one to the next person. This is who I am. This is what I'm suffering from. This is how long I've been suffering from it. These are the drugs. It was not, it was just, it was such a bummer. And then I spoke about blessings and gratitude and how this journey brought me to this place of compassion and love and empathy and all that stuff. Um, so I would probably stay away from especially these Facebook support groups where you're just getting bombarded with a lot of complaining and not a whole lot of constructive feedback. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, that you are not a victim. You are not broken because you have a health complaint or a health challenge. You are just being given an opportunity here to learn more about your body, to learn more about yourself, um, to explore your diet and nutrition and your mental health and your subconscious blocks and old traumas. And this is an opportunity to heal. And so grateful for that. So I hope this was helpful. Leave a message or comment if you thought this was helpful, and if you have any interest in sharing any questions or any other topics that you'd like me to talk about, feel free to share that or PM me. If you're interested in coaching, I do a complimentary coaching consult on Zoom. All right, thank you. Talk to you soon.